I'm Em,
And I'm Lex.
and we're thrilled to welcome you to the Ready, Set, Coach podcast.
Now, we're not just your hosts. We're also mamas, entrepreneurs, coaches, friends, and co-founders of the Ready, Set, Coach community.
What began as a pandemic side hustle has blossomed into a vibrant online community crafted by coaches for coaches.
So when we're not immersed in our coaching community on Circle, we're busy managing our other businesses, navigating the ups and downs of life, and of course, recording this podcast.
This is where we dive deep into epic conversations about life, business, coaching,
and everything in between.
So are you ready, Lex?
I'm set, Em.
Let's coach.
Hi. Hi. Hi to you.
Hi. It's always a treat. It's always a delight to get on here. I have to say, it's a lot more fun to record a podcast with you than recording
Anyone else on the entire planet, right?
and everyone else on the entire planet. Did I say that? I said that.
Yeah.
Mind meld right there. Same
It
exact
is. Emily fit me in today. I was given a 30-minute window for this podcast. So this 30-minute window, we will maximize, listeners, because I think, Emily, reading between the lines, you've massively overbooked yourself this week.
Okay, I was away at a lake all last week, lollygagging. No, I was working, but more lollygagging. And then it was my birthday the week before, so it was more lollygagging. And then there was a holiday the week before, and then there was more lollygagging. And then I was gone the week before, so
Basically had a 1-month hybrid sabbatical / not.
slash I worked the whole time, and I think I'm more productive than 98% of the world. So with lollygagging in between, lots of lollygagging.
Lots of lollygagging.
It's a really fun word.
So is what you're getting at is that you're packing it all in this week?
Yeah, that's exactly. I don't know about you too, but I'm also taking off like the week of the 4th, and
You're
then
taking off the whole week?
yeah, it's the week of the 4th. Why would you work?
Emily, we
I'm
have a
gonna be-
business together. I need you to work.
I'm not taking off the week of the 4th.
Like the rest of the world, just take off Thursday and Friday.
I'm gonna be in Michigan. I'm gonna be with my dad, who I haven't seen in 2 years. He's 83. This might be the last time I see him.
Oh my God. I'm not, oh my God. I'm just like, okay, you're gonna find a reason to lollygag no matter what day we pick.
Guys,
Okay, I am not getting any Emily Merrill that week, guys. There probably won't be a podcast. We'll see if we can batch it. I don't know if she has time for me to batch it. Clearly not bitter.
This is like a public outing, basically, I feel like.
Make more time for me.
I'm being flogged publicly.
I was reading about like the loneliness epidemic or whatever in the Skim this morning, and I feel like I don't qualify for the loneliness epidemic, but I feel like very needy right now, and that you're making me. I'm lonely in relation to you, like stop lollygagging and lexigag. I don't know. That was rough.
That is so good. No, don't worry, guys. I'm going to be coming to Lexi. We need to firm up our dates, our in IRL time. But my sister's getting married this year, and that's also like thrown some fun things into
Lexi, sister marriage. I'm just kidding.
I know. You're also, after this conversation, you need to help me like plan the theme. So that's
the theme of the wedding?
No, the theme of the bachelorette party.
Oh yeah, I just did that. I just did my bachelorette party of the summer. Now I just get to go to the next one. I don't have to plan it.
Oh wow, that's gonna be weird for you to not be in control.
Lovely and or incredibly frustrating. We'll see. I'll challenge myself to let go of control. It's good. I need it once in a while.
Well, speaking of control, I feel like what are some things you know what you have in control of? I'm gonna try the transition. Here we go. Okay, some things that you have control of are your business. And some things that you can have control of in your business could be things like your branding and your website and your social. And those things can attract what?
Qualified leads.
There we go.
We got there. Today we're talking about how to attract qualified leads for your coaching business.
Oh my God, my brain just went into like how to plan a bachelorette party to attract a husband, but that doesn't track.
No, because you should already have the husband if you're
Yeah.
Again. Or
how
to attract qualified time
friends
with Emily.
Exactly. Oh, do you have a free trip I can go on? I'm there.
Want an au pair? You can pay your ticket and you can sleep on the couch in the hotel room for free.
Done. That sounds so lovely. I cannot wait. I'm in.
Really made it in life.
Yeah,
okay, sorry,
this is our friendship.
Back on track.
Yeah, guys, we're fine. It's Tuesday. Here we are. Okay, so let's talk about qualified leads. And I think this is such a interesting topic in that when you start a business, there's two types of people who start a business. There are the people who believe in building it and they will come. And then there are the people that build it and are also simultaneously as they build it, really doing all of the things to like pull in the clients to them. And so let's talk about some of the things that you need to get right to be client number 2 or to customer number 2.
And before we even get into the how, Emily, what's a qualified lead? She's leaving. She's literally leaving the screen. She's walking out of the room.
This is me leaving. I'm not.
Okay, I will take this question, tossing it back to myself, Lex. What is a qualified lead? So a qualified lead is quite literal. It means someone is qualified to work with you. And there are different things that can make someone qualified. So back to you, Em, now that you didn't leave the room, what are some things that are considered qualifiers, or what would make a lead qualified?
We should drink while we do this podcast.
I am, but it's coffee. It's the third of the day, which my chiropractor would be mad about. Anyways, the question was
what would make a qualified lead? A qualified lead is someone who understands what you are selling. It is someone that understands the program, understands your offering, also is in or already understanding that like working with you is not going to be free dollars. It's going to usually have a cost associated and is comfortable with the cost that is going to be there.
Well, and I'm going to paraphrase. It's someone who's willing or ready to actually buy.
Yeah.
And that can look like qualified, meaning like we could talk about price point. They're qualified to pay what you charge. It could be qualified, meaning they're ready to buy now versus a year from now. So time can be a qualifier. It could also be someone that's qualified to truly fit what you're offering. If you're doing a program for weight loss, but they're looking for just
maintenance
or whatever, right? That might not be qualified for your program. So qualifiers can take form in a few different categories, from price to readiness to a true fit. So I think the first thing here is identifying what are your qualifiers. What does a qualified lead look like for you as a coach?
And you did that so beautifully. Thank you. Guys, this is what you get when you coach with Lex and I. You get a lot. You get a lot.
Organized shit show. Disorganized. No, wait. A shit show of organization.
A shit show of organization.
This is like underlining what you're saying. Okay.
Yeah, no, I think you bring up really incredible points just in terms of when you're getting on a call with someone, and oftentimes we think that like for someone to buy, they have to get on a call for you to buy, but that doesn't have to be the case. Lexi and I earlier this year, we were shopping for a coach to teach us something very specific. So we were a very qualified lead because we wanted to work with a person in a very specific time frame. We had budget put aside to work with this person, and we had a specific thing that we wanted to learn from said person. So we were very clear in our intentions right off the bat in every single sales call that we had, which was great. I think that was also probably, we were like the best gift for a lot of coaches that we got on the phone with.
Well, I think we were qualified to some.
Yeah.
Is your point there. It's like we weren't qualified for others. There was one gal we got on the phone with whose budget was like 5x what we wanted to pay.
True.
Right. And then there was another coach we got on a phone with whose format wasn't what we were looking for. So we ended up being insanely qualified for the gal we went with. Yeah. But I think that goes back to knowing your qualifiers. And there's a lot of things that those coaches that we got on the phone with that we weren't a fit for could have done better to further qualify us. And the first step, once you know your qualifiers, this is really kind of a part of just knowing who your ideal client is, right? It's another thing to think about. So beyond just it's a woman and she's 35, what else makes your woman qualified? Knowing your person really, really well is so key here, because the first step in qualifying is reflecting your messaging and your marketing to speak to them, not everyone.
And I think a good example of that could be like, I want to work with clients that have already had clients before. I don't want to be someone's who has a million ideas and I need to help them sort out their ideas to come up with what they're building. Like, this person needs to know what they're doing, put it in the sand, a stake in the sand of what they are offering, and has had at least 3 clients previously. So then that way you have that jumping off point and you can serve them in a way that you know serves your program. And then I think, Lex, my question for you is, how do you make sure that your onboarding has qualifiers in place? Like, how can you do that?
You're going to hate me because I feel like we're jumping too far ahead. Okay, let me backtrack. I like going in order.
Okay. let me re-ask that question.
Okay.
Guys, I'm fine.
My type A is so on fleek and your giggling is so on fleek. So we're on fleek.
My B plus and also on fleek. What are we, like 12?
What does that mean? I don't
know. I don't know. We need to Google that at Urban Dictionary at later. But what is a way that an individual, especially a coach, can make sure that they are attracting qualified leads?
Okay, thank you, Emily, for that perfectly timed and set up question.
Just rolled off my tongue.
to kind of, in all seriousness, to kind of piggyback off of what we were just saying. Once you know your person and you know your qualifiers, you do need that to reflect on everything. That means reflecting that on your website, in the language you put on your website, in the vibe or the look of your website, and the imagery you use on your website. For example, if you're looking to attract, let's go back to this weight loss example. You're a health coach looking to help people lose weight. Your website needs to reflect that. It needs to probably showcase your weight loss journey and or your client's weight loss journey. There needs to be language that is calling out that person. So everything you're putting out from a personal or company branding standpoint needs to be in alignment with that ideal client. Because what's going to happen if you don't, and you just cast a wide net and you just say health coach, period? Sure, you might be flooded with 500 calls and that feels exciting, but they probably aren't qualified.
Yes. I will argue, well, I'm going to argue that at the beginning of your health coaching business, you might want to do health coach, period. So then you understand what type of client you want to have.
That's a different podcast. We're talking about qualified leads.
That's a different podcast. So that's...
God, this is really great camaraderie. Everyone's going to think I'm a big old asshole.
Everyone's going to think like Corey's going to be listening to this and be like, and she officially has her diagnosis of ADHD.
And Lexi, type A to the bold underline.
Oh, so
okay.
good.
Finish your thought though. I didn't mean to cut you off, because even though that is not exactly what we're talking about, I think, it's something we've talked about in other episodes. And if someone's listening and they're not at the point where they know qualifiers, I think that's a really valid point. So here's me validating.
Thanks,
you. Finish your thought.
Thank you for validating me. I think it's a way for you to understand what you want a qualified lead to look like. And so in terms of experimentation, and creating a business is a lot of experimentation. It's a lot of understanding who you want to work with and also who you do not want to work with. So if you have that person, and going back to the weight loss person, you have someone that says, I want to lose weight in 2 months, and it's like 900 pounds. I want to lose 900 pounds in 2 months. I don't know if that's a thing that people do, but in 2 months, that's probably not a realistic person you can serve. And so you might understand that you don't want to work with that type of person versus someone that says, hey, I want in 6 months to get in really great shape for my wedding. And this is what success looks like. And you know that you can deliver on that result. You also know that this is the type of client that you like. You know that this client has like a reasonable goal in mind. Then you can then understand who your qualified lead is.
Hey everyone, Lex here.
And Em.
And if you haven't heard, we did something pretty darn cool.
We sure did. We launched a completely free community built specifically for coaches.
Say it again for the people in the back.
We launched a free community for coaches. Tell them quickly who it's for and what we're doing inside, Lex.
Sure thing. So it's for anyone from the coaching curious to side hustlers to coaches ready to scale. And through the virtual platform that we've built, we've created a safe and fun space to learn, launch, grow, connect, ideate, collaborate, vent, and evolve together.
Nailed it, Lex. Now, while it's free, you must apply in order to gain a free membership. So we can make sure everyone inside is awesome, like us.
Apply today at readysetcoachcommunity.com. And I think that's beautifully illustrating that to get to the point of knowing what a qualified lead is a journey. And usually you have to have a few unqualified ones to figure out what qualified means to you. So yes, that kind of like underlines, you might not, depending where you're at listening to this podcast, you might not be ready for qualified leads if you don't know what qualified leads looks like to you. But when you are, come back to this podcast and keep listening. So,
and pause.
And keep listening. Okay, so we talked about really knowing your person, getting really specific, reflecting across your branding. Now we're back to onboarding, Emily. So what are some very tangible things that we can do to weed out the looky-loos or the non-qualified leads?
Oh, Lexi, what a genius question you just asked me.
And well-timed.
And well-timed question in order. So as for those that are booking calendar or booking calls where you have like a calendar system, like a Calendly or an Acuity, those tools are incredible because they have the opportunity for you to create a form and you can include language for qualifiers in this form. So like a good example of a qualifier could be, starting to work with Emily or starting to work with Em and Lex begins at $4,500. And so people know that like, okay, this is what it's going to cost for me to enter into their program. I can swing that money, or like, maybe I'm not there yet and I'll do their on-demand offering instead. And that feels like a better price point. So it's kind of allowing the person to self-select whether or not they make sense to get on the phone with you. Well, simultaneously, it's an opportunity for you to screen the person before you even accept the call. So this person could say that they don't have a business and they have an idea and X, Y, and Z, a bunch of things that just don't make sense for the program that you are currently focused on selling. And you can convey that to them before you get on the call without wasting either of your time.
Yep, absolutely. One of the simple ways I like to explain qualified leads or how to build a qualified lead intake system is just to put up barriers, thoughtful barriers. The harder you make it to book a call with you, the more likely that if someone makes it out to the other end, they're qualified. Now, harder can mean it takes more time, meaning a longer form. Harder can mean further out on your calendar, so they can't just jump on your calendar today. Harder could mean what Emily just highlighted, like more questions, more specific questions. Harder could mean, just basically putting in moments of pause so that the person on the other end, the potential client, really has to be committed, because if they make it through your booking system, they're that much more ready when they do speak to you. So it's a really, really powerful thing to do. Generally, it's not something you turn on when you're a brand new coach, because again, you might not even know what qualified is. But when you're starting to ramp up your clients, or you really just don't have time to talk to people just to talk to people, putting these up is great. You can also call it like an application. An application could be a form of a qualifier. So there's a lot of different tools that you can do. Anytime you take them from one page to another page, multiple steps is also adding more qualifiers, right? That means you can also lose them. You can also lose qualified leads by doing this. That's the risk you run, because some people don't have time, but it's really, a balance there about what you're looking for. What's more important to you? More volume of calls or less volume, but more qualified?
And I think I'll add, in terms of another qualifier, it's like putting a time constraint on it, or at the end of their booking, like I understand having them check something like a tangible to do. Like I understand that if I am accepted into this program, I have 48 hours to accept. Or so there is also that opting in to whatever happens after the sales call.
Yep. Okay, so that's great, Emily and Lexi. How do I get those people even to my website? So there's a few things besides just getting really specific with your messaging. One of the things I think is the biggest is showcasing relevant and the right case studies. Okay. So showcasing the type of client you want to rinse and repeat. Now, I don't mean literally like blonde girl named Lexi's. You want to track them. But if, again, back to this weight loss example, if that's what you're selling, you need to showcase true stories of clients going through that process and be selective with who you feature in your testimonials, because those testimonials help sell and qualify the people who do reach your site.
You want people essentially to see themselves in the testimonials and see the future version of what they can be and what their transformation could look like by opting into whatever it is that you're selling. And same goes with your phone call. If you end up doing a sales call, or maybe it's a program that you don't need a sales call, but it's something that you want them to be able to dream a little bit. And you want them to be able to be like, oh, I know this person and I know where she was before working with them. And now she has X, Y, and Z, and I want X, Y, and Z. So the proof is in their pudding.
And I think the easiest and best way to attract a high quality lead is by being an exceptional coach to the people you really like. Not saying you should be a shitty coach to the clients you don't like, but let's say someone enters your ecosystem that truly to a T is your ideal client. Just showing up and delivering and being an extraordinary coach and making them so happy with their experience will naturally lend itself to more referrals. And anytime you get a referral, it's already much more qualified because there's some level of trust already baked in, right? And generally, when someone refers someone, it's someone that's semi like-minded or someone in their world. There's a greater chance of them being, with a caveat, more qualified.
Amen. And then from there, I think this is an important lesson, and this is the hardest lesson to learn, and some that we're still learning pretty much, but getting really good at saying no to when it's not a right fit. And when it doesn't hit that checkbox that you want of a qualified lead, and you don't want to make too many exceptions. And I think with business and with experience, you are going to make exceptions, and you're going to always make exceptions to your rules sometimes, because that happens, and that's part of the learning journey. But what you want and what you want to get to is getting good at saying no when it's not the right fit.
It's so hard. It's so hard, guys. I mean, I've fallen trapped to this at multiple stages of businesses.
Oh, man.
I'm in a scarcity mindset, or revenue is low and there's someone who wants to buy. Why the heck would I say no? Right? Because it's a domino effect. Getting that one unqualified lead takes up your time from finding potentially more ideal clients. So it's really, really hard. It's something that requires patience. It's something that I think you get better at as you continue in your coaching journey. Don't be hard on yourself if you've made that mistake. Emily and I have made that mistake. It's supernatural. Supernatural. That's not what I meant, but super, natural.
It is supernatural. And in terms of saying yes when you want to say no. And I think, and I just got finished recording a podcast episode on intuition, and listening and pausing and listening to your intuition when you know that like everything about this client is screaming red flag and not exciting you and not energizing you. But to what you said, Lex, you're saying yes to it because you're like, well, one client is better than no client, right? So just remember, we'll all have those seasons in some capacity.
Yep. And I think a theme we wanted to underline here is the journey to finding and attracting and closing qualified leads can be frustrating. It can take time because the reality is you're going to receive less leads, more crickets, but the ones who do make it through really should be these aha moments. But that's not easy. It's not easy if your calendar isn't packed full of calls. Like that can be, it's almost like a vanity metric of sorts, right? Like if you have 20 calls and you hear a lot of marketing, like get 20 calls or 20 qualified calls. I'm like, there's no freaking way, first off, I could service 20 one-on-one clients right now. And the likelihood that there's 20 qualified people on my calendar in 1 week, unless you've been in the business a long time or you have some crazy large network or audience, or you've really just made it, that's just not generally what happens. It's not realistic.
Yeah, so don't think that that's the reality of what it means to get qualified leads. So Lex, to recap it all, basically know your client really freaking well. Make sure to speak to them, not to everyone. Make sure that your branding reflects who you're trying to reach. That means like your website, your social, everything talks to each other. Make sure that your onboarding has qualifiers in place. So that could be forms, pricing, having some sort of opting in to understanding the pricing and the value of working with you. Utilize your website and social media to showcase case studies of clients that you want more of, and lean into those testimonials that are those sweet, sweet, sweet clients. Get good at saying no and practicing saying no, and know that sometimes getting qualified leads means getting less leads, but better leads.
Boom. And honestly, I think your homework's sprinkled throughout because that's a whole doggone checklist. So listen to that checklist and identify if there's one area that you could improve upon, from identifying your qualifiers. If you haven't done that, start there.
Yeah, I think that's a great homework. And with that, we will see you the next time
on the Ready,
ARP
Set,
with Emily and Lexi. Just kidding.
Podcast.
Bye, y'all.
If you're enjoying the Ready, Set, Coach podcast, please leave a review wherever you are listening. For more information about Ready, Set, Coach, visit readysetcoachprogram.com.